Fellow tennis nerds, I hope you are well. You seem to like the racket analysis I did with the ATP and WTA top 100 rackets. Today we're going to look at ATP top 50 strings. I don't know every tension or every string here, but I've done some research. I do know some by heart after many years of doing this. But these days, the players are changing all the time. They seem to be testing, trying new things. New strings are coming out, changing their setups. It's a little bit chaos in the string jungle and in the racket jungle, as you know if you follow this channel. So it's impossible to be 100% sure, but it will give you some guideline. I've also pulled out some stats from all this, so you have some ideas which are the most popular string brands, what is kind of an average tension on the ATP top 50, and so on. If you like it, I will do one for the WTA top 50, even tougher to do the research there. But thanks to all of you stringers and people out there who send me DMs via Instagram mainly and give me updates on string tensions. I get string tension sheets from tournaments and so on. If you go to the Pro Player playlist on this YouTube channel, you can find lots of videos with string tensions, with racket specs and so on. But let's dive into it. I did like an Excel sheet. We have it here on the screen. Yannick Sinner, nothing shocking there. Alcaraz, you know this probably already. He did make a switch from Blast to Team. Team is a little bit of a softer version, but not according to the data. So that is where it gets confusing, you know. Then you have Zverev, one of many players using natural gut, but he really varies his tension a lot. And in some of these cases, you see there's a lot of variance in their tension. If I don't know at all, I leave it blank, and maybe you can update me in the comments. But I do have ideas in some cases here of what they're using. RPM rough for Aliasim, pretty sure he's using that. That's what he's been using for a long time. But then again, they might do changes and you're not seeing it on the color of the string or something, so it's not so easy to know. Djokovic, we know he's been playing the similar setup for a long time. Nothing strange with that. And Ben Shelton just switched from the strike in the mains to force in the mains. Daniil Medvedev did have a period where he was testing a lot of strings, ended up with the Razor Soft, I think around 21, 22 kilos, depending on conditions. Obviously, these guys can be going up for more control or down for a little bit more free depth. So this is what you will see with pro players, is that when they have a new tournament, obviously there are new conditions, new balls, and different opponents and whatnot. So there's always these adjustments that have to be made also to the equipment. Some players don't like doing adjustments to the equipment, like Rafa used to always play like 26 kilos, pretty much 25.5, 26. But there are players that keep on tweaking all the time, like Zverev, who likes to have the stringer actually watch his match and bring him rackets on court with adjustments of tension. So he's really like scientific with the hectos instead of just kilos or half kilos on the tension. I'm using kilos in this sheet. I know the pounds approx, but it was easier to just have one. So you will have to do some conversion if you like that. We have Deminor using 4G and natural gut crosses. Hawk Touch, natural gut for Taylor Fritz, yet another natural gut player. Not exactly sure about his tension. Maybe I have it somewhere, but I wasn't sure when I wrote this. There's actually quite a few players who've tried Signum Pro Firestorm. I know Rublev did try it for a bit. Berrettini and Koboli are both using it. There are more players who've tried it. Chodar, Headlings Tour 130, 23 kilos, is one of the hottest players on tour in terms of results, playing amazingly well at the moment, generating so much spin. And the Lynx Tour 130 is a popular string. Also, if you go outside top 50 to top 100. We have Lerner Tien with a bit of an odd combo, using Olo Power thicker in the mains and thinner in the crosses. It does make sense. I mean, the main strings are what moves the most, so it does make some sense to have a little bit more of a durable string in the mains and a little bit more of a thinner string in the crosses, so you allow maybe the main strings to move more. So it's not completely unsensible, this one. What you will see here is there's a lot of Olo Power overall and a lot of 4G. So Laxton doing well still. We'll look at the brand rating later on. RPM Blast for Bublik. Let's see if he goes to some kind of diadem string at some point. Now that he's a diadem player, but from what I know, he used to play RPM Blast. he usually strings the crosses a bit higher to have less of a launch, and he hits more like down on the ball. He's playing pretty flat. He's not going to rip so much from underneath, and he's going for his shots with more of a flat trajectory. So trying to limit the launch angle with a higher cross. That's one way you can do it. Then we have Leheshka's standard all power, now with a Pro Staff 97. He used to play the Pro Staff 95 for many, many years. Now moved up to the 97. We did actually talk about the beauty of the Pro Staff and kind of the underestimation of the Pro Staff 97 by many players, me and Sean Hodkin on the Tennis Nerd podcast. So please check out that episode. There might be some fun discussions that you like over there if you are a equipment nerd or a tennis nerd in general. Casper Ruud, one of those players that like the Politor Spin, Politor Pro combo. Yonex, they obviously like all brands, but I think they're quite strong pushing it. They want them to use full Yonex. So like if they play Yonex racket, they want Yonex string, Yonex clothes, so on. They want to have a 360 athlete. That's obviously good with all the brands, but some brands are more hard on the players. And I think Yonex are a little bit more adamant that they should use full on their sponsor gear there. Lynx Torth 130 for Rublev after lots of testing. He was 4G for a while. Back in his younger days, he was Adrenaline. That slightly softer string from Laxon, also a good one. But now Lynx Tor 130, like Hodar, very good spin string, holds tension really well. Vachereau, VCore 100 as far as I know, so Politor Pro 125 at that tension is very powerful, but he has a powerful game. He controls the ball well with that. Darderi, all the power off, has not gone the full Yonex route in terms of strings. Lots of RPM Blast 130 as well. You can see here Arthur Fils, you can see Nakashima, who had a really good round recently, using a natural gut hybrid. Obviously, with a natural gut hybrid, you're getting more power, you're getting better comfort, and probably a lower launch angle if that's what you want. So some players will love it, some players can't play with it. You know, if you talk to pros, they might have tried it, but they don't want to use that. So that's generally what you see. Tiafoe using Politor Pro 125. He's been using it for a long time. Low tension, probably the lowest tension on this sheet. Otherwise, you're seeing kind of a similar range, and we'll get to that. Tommy Paul, all the power natural gut on his VCore 98. I think he used the new VCore 98 for a while, and now he's back to his old one, or the 2023. He prefers that one. Cerundolo, Kirschbaum max power in his PT57A. Was always questions whether he should switch up to a larger head size instead of a 95, try to get a bit more power. But once you play the PT57A, it's not easy to switch. You can just ask Andy Murray. It took him a whole career almost. So it's a good racket, but it's demanding. Politor Force now for Fonseca, Joao Fonseca. Fokina, not sure exactly if this is Hawk Rough and Hawk Power. That's what I've heard, but this is something that you would have to verify a bit more. Tabilo, another player who likes to use the PT Pro, PT Spin hybrid, but he reverses it. Usually would like to have the shaped strings in the main so that you get some spin, and then you put the slick string, the round string in the cross to allow the mains to move more. Maybe he doesn't like that, so this is what he prefers. Obviously, there are no real rules. You need to play with what brings you results and what you like. So Ugo Holmberg is a tough one. He used to play 4G. But he's been trying head hawk touch, as far as I know, from some stringers and maybe other strings as well. He's been a little bit lost. You know, he was with the speed, and I'm back to age 22. And yeah, now I'm not sure exactly where he is with his rackets. We have Echeverry, Politor Strike 125 in his Percept. Blocks using Black Code 128 Technifiber string. Bergs, also Politor Strike. We'll see now if they stick to Strike, as Yonex are phasing this string out, it seems like. But maybe, you know, for the pros, they will obviously keep doing it, but they might not be selling it in stores as much. Arnaldi, Head Hawk, Natural Gut. Pretty solid setup with the Natural Gut. This for a kind of for like a counter puncher, pretty good setup. And then we have a bunch of all the powers. Nori, Buse, and Ferry in different types of rackets. So all the power is just a string. I mean, that is very good for a short time. And if you're a pro and you can string a lot of rackets, it's actually an excellent string. If you're an amateur, it's not the most comfortable string, and it drops tension really quickly. But when it's fresh, it's very good. So you have to think, you know, even if you're playing futures, probably, yeah, you don't have the budget to keep stringing so many rackets all the time. So that that would mean like maybe go for something that lasts a bit longer than all the power. Arrow, this I'm the least sure of, I would say, the Collignon. I know he's using an Air 98, but this is like a gut blast. I'm trying to figure out from picture, but sometimes it looks like RPM power. Maybe he's tried both, and maybe it's just the light playing tricks, so please, if you know. Hachanov has also been testing lots of different strings. I know he was an all power player before, he used to have one of his rackets, but now with the Defier 98, he is with Luxon 4G now, 125. Not sure about the tension. There was a reel recently from Cincinnati where they published that. Merida playing really well, really ripping the ball with the CX200 from Dunlop, which is their blade kind of. Explosive Tour, Natural Gut. Explosive Tour, very stiff string. Natural Gut takes some of that stiffness away. Nice combo. Then we have an odd one, Mikkelsen. I had to double check this one. But yeah, RPM Blast and Polytour Strike. So two firm, round-ish, like RPM Blast is 8-sided, but that is very close to round. And then he's Strike in the cross. Berrettini, Signum Pro Firestorm, like Cobolli. More all the power here. We have Lena Struff. We have Navone with the Boom. I'm not sure if he's playing 4G and all the power like a hybrid. I know there's one player who's doing that, but from what I remember, it's 4G. So feel free to let me know. I know Atmane is playing 4G. Someone told me he plays 100. Until I get that verified, I will put it as a 98, but he might be playing 100 actually, which is rare on the men's tour. Munar, another Polytour spin, Polytour Pro, follows Kasper's racket setup in his ISO 98. Borges with the Hawk Rough, Hawk Touch, another one like where you have shape and round, like a really nice setup for a hybrid of two polys, something I really like myself as well. For example, you could put Vamos in the mains, which I did recently, and then you put a round stiff string in the cross, whereas like a slick string for sure. Snap TF if you're playing tour line, for example, but even like RPM Blast or some other string could really work, and that's something I can recommend testing at least. Polytour Strike for Shapovalov, now back to his V-Core 95. Stefan also has been back and forth with strings quite a lot. 4G Natural Gut seems to have been like the main theme, but he's also tried a bunch of other strings this year. Tirante, full bed 4G. All right, that's the top 50. I could keep going. We have 50 players here. There's the average tension, which is not so low, but it's not as high as it used to be. It's 23.5 kilos. That's the average tension. Most guys are around this spectrum of 22 to 24. We have like an outlier here. That's Tiafoe with 19 kilos. And then we have Sinner and Djokovic playing high. Djokovic playing a gut hybrid, so a high tension is more understandable. Sinner, yeah, he's obviously ripping the ball, so 28 kilo Hawk Touch. Hawk Touch being a slightly softer string. We have 10 players of this bunch, so 20%, using Natural Gut in a hybrid. So that's an interesting number showing that Natural Gut is still going strong. The most popular string brands here, it's no shock to anyone. Laxlon, their connection with Wilson is strong. They're not like owned by Wilson, but they have a partnership. And they have 17 players here by counting. Yonex doing well, both in rackets and strings these days. 11. Head, pretty solid here with 10. Babola, RPM Blast or RPM Team, pretty much all of them. Then we have a few Technifiber, actually 2 Signum Pro, 1 Kirschbaum, and 1 Dunlop. So interesting, not shocking information here. If you look at the most popular strings, it's Olo Power, 4G, and Hawk Touch is actually number 3, Polytour Pro number 4, RPM Blast number 5. But as you can see in this table, they're all very popular strings on tour. Generally, pro players use stiffer strings, but there are some strings here that I think, you know, amateur players can definitely use, which is like Polytour Pro, pretty soft string, Signum Pro Firestorm, not a too stiff string. Hawk Touch fine as well. Then 4G for many amateurs will be the stiffest. RPM Blast have wrecked some amateur arms. Lynx Tour can also be on stiff side. So be a bit careful if you're a club player and you're not like really dropping tension. Like be careful with stiff strings. But for the pros who are hitting so hard and keep restringing all the time for every practice, every match, it's fine to play a stiffer string because they get a fresh one. The worst thing is when you have a really stiff string and it drops the tension. That's usually when you start getting arm issues, loses its elasticity. And we can get to rackets a bit quickly here. From the top 50, we have a ranking of 15 for head, so 30% are head players, 13, 26% are Yonex players, Wilson have 11 and 22%. Then there are Babolat with 12% of the players in the top 50 for men's. So there you have it. Most common racket brand is head, most common string brand is Laxolon. Not super shocking in the very top of the players. Natural Gut is something that's still going strong. I don't see that falling away at any time soon. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments. I might do one for WTA, or if you want like a wider top 200 for the ATP, this will be a challenge. But let's say WTA top 50 or something. That's it. Maybe I see you in New York. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.